The morning sun poured softly over St. Andrew's Cathedral in Abuja, its golden rays dancing on the tall, stained glass windows. Inside, the air smelled of fresh roses and polished wood. Guests in bright Ankara, flowing agbadas, and shimmering gowns filled the hall, chatting with excitement. The choir hummed a gentle hymn, while the decorated aisles gleamed in white and gold. In a modest dressing room at the back, Chinedu Okafor stood in front of a mirror. His black suit fit him well, though he knew it wasn't his. It was a gift paid for by Chief Emeka Nwankwo, his soon-to-be father-in-law. Chinedu's hands trembled as he fixed his tie. He looked sharp on the outside, but deep inside, doubt gnawed at him. "I have no job, no car, no house, he whispered to himself. "But I have love. I love her." His best friend, Obinna, walked in, holding a small camera. "Guy, you're still here? The bride is almost ready?" Chinedu gave a weak smile. "Obinna, tell me the truth. Do you think I'm making a mistake?" Obinna looked at him with steady eyes. "No, you're marrying the woman you love. That's never a mistake. Money will come, Chinedu. Just trust God." Chinedu nodded slowly, whispering, "Amen." Minutes later, the cathedral doors opened. Amara Nwankwo, radiant in a sparkling white gown, walked in with her father beside her. She looked like a princess, confident, graceful, adored by all. Yet behind her smile, her eyes held something unspoken, a flicker of doubt. When the vows were read, Chinedu's voice was firm. "Yes, I do. With all my heart." Amara hesitated only briefly before replying, "Yes, I do." The hall erupted with claps and ululations. The pastor lifted his hands. "You may now kiss the bride." Chinedu leaned close, kissed her softly, and whispered in her ear, "Thank you for choosing me, even when I have nothing." The guests cheered, but his heart still carried a heavy question. Was love enough to sustain a marriage without wealth? For Chinedu, that day marked the beginning of a journey, one filled with both promise and pain. 2 months after the wedding, the glow of celebration had faded. The laughter of guests and the shimmer of white gowns were now distant memories. Inside their Woos Zone 4 apartment, the air was quiet, heavy with tension. The ceiling fan turned lazily as Chinedu sat hunched over his laptop. Eyes red from endless emails. Every day he sent proposals to construction firms, praying for one yes. He whispered often, "God, just one contract, one chance." At first, Amara had been patient. She would sit beside him, hold his hand, and say, "Don't worry, my love. Things will get better." She cooked, encouraged him, and smiled even when money was tight. But patience is fragile when surrounded by luxury. Amara had grown up in wealth, her father's power shielding her from want. Slowly her tone changed. The softness in her voice turned sharp. The eyes that once looked at Chinedu with love now carried disappointment. One morning, as Chinedu scrolled through project sites, Amara walked in, her red dress fitting perfectly, her perfume filling the air. She looked every inch the executive her father was grooming at Central Business District. "You're still in bed?" she asked coldly. "I've sent out proposals," Chinedu replied, hopeful. "There's this new school building project in Garki. I applied for it." Amara laughed, not kindly, but bitterly. "Every week it's the same story. You applied here, you submitted there, yet nothing comes out of it. Months, Chinedu. How many sites have you worked on since our marriage?" "0. Her words pierced him, but he sat up, struggling to explain. "I'm not lazy, Amara. I'm an engineer. Contracts take time. Please." She threw her hands up. "I'm tired. Tired of paying bills. Tired of pretending everything is fine. Tired of being the man in this house." Her heels clicked angrily as she stormed out, leaving Chinedu staring at his blank screen. The silence pressed on his chest like a weight. For the first time, he wondered if his love, his only possession, was enough to keep his marriage alive. And somewhere deep inside, something inside him began to crack. The days grew colder between them. Conversations that once flowed easily now felt like battles. Chinedu poured his energy into proposals, but the rejection emails came like clockwork. Each, "We regret to inform you," chipped away at his confidence. One evening, as he sat quietly with his loyal friend Obinna, the only person who hadn't lost faith in him, the silence of the apartment broke. "Eat, my brother," Obinna said, passing him a pack of suya. "You look like someone carrying the weight of Abuja on his back." Chinedu smiled faintly. "Life is just hard these days, Obinna. Amara doesn't believe in me anymore. She talks to me like I'm nothing." Obinna leaned forward, his voice firm. "Listen, you don't need the whole world to believe in you. You only need one person. And I believe in you. Don't give up." But before Chinedu could reply, Amara walked in. Her arms folded across her chest, her face like stone. "So this is what you do when I'm out? Sit here eating with your jobless friend?" Obinna stood startled. "Good evening, Amara." She cut him off, her voice sharp. "Alex, do you even feel shame? Sitting here, laughing like everything is fine?" Chinedu rose slowly. "He's my friend. He came to check on me." But Amara hissed and stormed away, leaving the room heavy with embarrassment. Obinna looked at his friend with pity. "Is this how she talks to you every day?" Chinedu said nothing. His silence was answer enough. That night, in the dim light of their bedroom, Chinedu tried once more. His voice trembled, but his heart longed for peace. "Amara, what you said in front of Obinna, it broke me. Please, I'm trying. Maybe your father could, just once, help me get a small contract. If I get a chance, I'll prove myself." Amara sat up at once, her eyes blazing. "So that's it? This is why you married me? To use my father's connections?" "No," Chinedu said quickly. "I love you. I only asked for a chance." "Keep your chance to yourself," she snapped. "You think he'll hand you work because you married me? You're nothing without him. Nothing." Chinedu's hand reached for hers, but she pulled away. He sat back in silence, his chest heavy. That night, staring at the ceiling, he realized love alone could not hold a marriage where respect had died. A new week came with a new spark of hope. For the first time in months, Chinedu Okafor had secured a meeting with a major construction firm in Maitama. He dressed carefully that morning, wearing his cleanest shirt, spraying the last drops of perfume left in his bottle. As he approached Amara's second car in the compound, he hesitated. She had already gone to work with her main car. He had never touched her things without permission, but this meeting was too important. He whispered to himself, just for today. At exactly 10 a.m., he walked into the company's polished offices. His file of proposals clutched tightly, his voice calm but passionate. "Sir, my proposal covers cost, safety, and speed," he explained to Mr. Adebayo, the project director. "I've handled sites before. If you give me this contract, I promise you won't regret it." The man nodded, flipping through the file. Chinedu's heart beat faster. This could be it. Then his phone rang. Gloria, once, twice again. He pressed silent, trying to remain composed. "Is everything okay?" the director asked. "Yes, sir. Just my wife," Chinedu replied with a small smile. But the calls didn't stop. Again and again her name flashed on the screen until the room itself felt filled with her voice. Mr. Adebayo sighed, placing the file aside. "Young man, if you cannot control your phone, how will you control a building site? This is a serious office, not a market stall. Please leave." "Sir, please, one more chance," Chinedu begged. but the door was already closing on his opportunity. When he finally stepped outside, 15 missed calls blinked back at him. He picked up. Amara's voice struck like a whip. "Chinedu, what is wrong with you? Who gave you permission to take my car? Are you my driver?" "Amara," his voice broke. "That meeting was important. I was this close to a contract worth millions, but your calls, they ruined everything." Her laughter was cold. "So now it's my fault you're a failure? If you need a car, go and buy your own." That evening, when he returned the keys, Amara stood waiting. She snatched them angrily. "Don't ever touch anything that belongs to me again. You are a disgrace. My friends laugh at me because of you." Chinedu's voice rose for the first time. "I didn't marry you for money. I married you because I loved you." "Then maybe you should have married someone as poor as you," she spat back. Before he could reply, she did the unthinkable. She spat on his face. Time stopped. His hand lifted halfway in shock, trembling with anger, but he froze. Her smirk was fearless. "Touch me, and you'll end up in jail. My father will make sure of it." Chinedu stepped back, the sting of betrayal sharper than the spit on his face. That night, lying awake, staring at the ceiling, he realized the woman he had married was no longer the woman in his arms. Something had broken beyond repair. The morning was heavy with silence. Chinedu Okafor sat at the dining table, his laptop open but untouched. His body was still sore from sleepless nights, his spirit weighed down by Amara's words. Suddenly, a loud knock. Not polite, angry, demanding. Chinedu's heart tightened. He peered through the curtain and froze. Standing outside were 3 men, Chief Emeka Nwankwo, Amara's father, and 2 stern-faced soldiers from Mogadishu barracks. He opened the door cautiously. "Good morning, sir." Chief Emeka's finger pointed straight at him. "So you turned into a coward? Who beats my daughter?" he barked. Chinedu's eyes widened. "Sir, no. I swear before God, I never touched her." But before he could explain, the soldiers grabbed him. One twisted his arm, the other shoved him against the wall. Amara stood by a car, watching coldly, her phone in hand. She didn't even flinch. "Wait! Please listen to me!" Chinedu cried, but his voice was drowned by orders. They dragged him into a truck and drove straight to Mogadishu barracks. There, under the blazing Abuja sun, humiliation became his portion. Buckets of cold water were poured on him. He was forced to crawl on gravel, to carry heavy logs, to endure insults. Chinedu said nothing. He did not curse, he did not fight back. But tears rolled down his dusty face, not from the pain of punishment, but from betrayal. "How can the woman I love do this to me?" he whispered. No one answered. 3 days later, limping and bruised, he returned to the Woos Zone 4 apartment. His lips were cracked, his arms wrapped in bandages. He found Amara sitting comfortably on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. Chinedu's voice shook, but his heart screamed. "Why, Amara? Why did you lie to your father? Why did you destroy me like this?" She didn't look up. Instead, she tossed a white envelope at him. It hit his chest and slid to the floor. "Sign it," she said coldly. "I want a divorce. Leave my house today." Chinedu picked it up with trembling hands. Divorce papers, real, legal, final. His eyes searched her face one last time, hoping for love, for guilt, for anything human. But all he found was hate. Quietly, he packed a small bag. He left behind the gold watch she bought him, the perfume she once gifted. He wanted no reminders of her. At the door, he turned back one final time. She didn't even raise her eyes. She simply changed the TV channel. Chinedu stepped into the street. The sky above Abuja looked darker than ever. But in that darkness, a new chapter, painful yet necessary, was waiting to begin. The streets of Abuja felt colder that evening as Chinedu Okafor walked away from the life he once dreamed of. His small bag hung loosely over his shoulder, his steps heavy but steady. He dialed a number with trembling fingers. "Obinna," he said, his voice low and cracked. "Please, can I stay with you for a while?" On the other end, his friend's voice was filled with concern. "Chinedu, what happened? Are you all right?" "I'll explain when I get there," Chinedu whispered. When Obinna opened the door at his Garki Area 1 apartment, his heart sank. His brother, in all but blood, stood before him, battered, bandaged, and broken. "Chinedu!" he exclaimed, rushing to support him inside. Chinedu sat quietly on the couch, eyes tired. He handed Obinna the divorce papers. "She said I should sign and leave. No goodbye, no sorry, just this." Obinna clenched his fist. "You will not end like this. You are a good man. Everything will be fine. I promise you." That night the two friends sat side by side in silence. Words failed, but their hearts spoke. Brotherhood was stronger than betrayal. Meanwhile, across town in Chief Emeka's mansion at Asokoro, Amara Nwankwo poured herself a glass of red wine. Dressed in a short designer gown, makeup flawless, she leaned back on the leather sofa with a proud smirk. "Good riddance," she whispered, raising her glass to herself. "Let him go and suffer. I don't need a broke man in my life." She thought she had won. She thought she was free. But what she didn't know was that life has a way of turning tables. The same man she mocked as worthless, the same man she cast out into the streets, was about to rise again. And when he did, she would not be ready. For now, however, Chinedu faced his darkest valley. Each morning he woke in Obinna's spare room, opened his laptop, and sent out proposals that were never answered. Hunger gnawed at him. Rejection crushed him. Yet still he refused to beg or steal. He whispered the same prayer each night. "God, I am broken, but please, don't forget me." Weeks turned into months. Life in Obinna's small Garki apartment was simple, but filled with brotherhood. Each morning, Chinedu Okafor sat at the wooden table, sending emails, submitting proposals, and walking the streets of Abuja with his file tucked under his arm. Rejection was constant, yet he refused to stop trying. One Saturday evening, Obinna burst through the door, face glowing. He dropped his car keys on the table and shouted, "I got promoted, my brother. They made me the new HR manager." Chinedu leapt from his chair and hugged him tightly. "Obinna, this is amazing news. I'm so proud of you." Obinna steadied his face. But, are you not sad? You've not even gotten one job yet." Chinedu shook his head firmly. "Why will I be sad? Your win is my win. You're my brother." That night after Obinna went to bed, Chinedu knelt beside his mattress, tears slipping down his cheeks. "God," he prayed softly, "I rejoice with Obinna, but please, remember me too. Just one chance. That's all I need." The following week, Chinedu visited Pastor Joshua at Living Faith Church, Abuja. Sitting in the pastor's office, surrounded by open Bibles, he poured out his heart. "She lied against me, Pastor. Soldiers beat me. Her father disgraced me, and she threw divorce papers at me. I've lost everything." Pastor Joshua's eyes softened. He placed his hand gently on Chinedu's shoulder. "My son, God is not asleep. Your story is not finished. While you wait for the big contract, use the gifts in your hands. Start small, build from there. The God who sees in secret will reward you openly." Chinedu nodded slowly, his heart heavy, but a spark of faith returning. That same afternoon, in a boardroom at a central business district firm, Obinna sat in a high-level meeting. The company had just acquired land in Maitama to build a new branch. The managing director spoke firmly. We need someone who can handle this project from start to finish. No mistakes. Silence filled the room until Obinna raised his hand. Sir, I know someone. He is brilliant, honest, and capable. He just needs a chance. The MD raised an eyebrow. Who is this man? Obinna smiled with quiet pride. His name is Chinedu Okafor. The room was silent. After a pause, the director said, Bring him. We will see him tomorrow. That evening, Obinna rushed home, excitement written all over his face. Chinedu, he shouted as soon as he opened the door. Where are you? From the kitchen, Chinedu emerged, wiping his hands on a towel. I'm here. What is it? Obinna's smile was wide. Your time has come. Tomorrow you'll stand before men who are ready to trust you. They want to meet you. This could change everything. Chinedu froze, his mouth slightly open, his eyes filling with tears. He hugged Obinna tightly, whispering, Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I thought my life was finished, but you never stopped believing in me. For the first time in a long while, Chinedu's heart dared to believe. Maybe, just maybe, his story was about to turn. The next morning, Chinedu Okafor woke before dawn. He wore his cleanest shirt, polished his shoes until they reflected the dim light of Obinna's sitting room, and tucked his file neatly under his arm. His heart beat fast as he whispered, God, let today be my day. At the Central Business District office, he entered a polished boardroom. The air was cool, the table long, and the men seated around it were powerful decision-makers. Beside them, Obinna gave him a reassuring nod. Tell us about yourself, the managing director said, leaning back in his chair. Chinedu drew a steady breath. Sir, my name is Chinedu Okafor. I am a civil engineer. I may not have much to my name, but I have integrity, skill, and the will to deliver. I don't promise what I cannot do, but if you give me one chance, I will build something that speaks for itself. The room was silent. Then the MD nodded slowly. We like your honesty. Obinna speaks highly of you. Very well, prove yourself. The Maitama project is yours. Chinedu's knees almost buckled. His hands trembled as he bowed. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Months passed, and true to his word, Chinedu poured his soul into the project. Day and night he worked with discipline, leading his team with humility. When the building was finally completed, it stood tall in Maitama, a symbol of excellence and trust. News of his success spread quickly. Investors noticed. Contracts flowed in. His bank account, once dry, began to overflow. For the first time, he could stand tall. Not because of borrowed suits or favors, but because of his own sweat and integrity. One evening he walked into Chief Emeka's company, not as a struggling son-in-law, not as the boy who had once been mocked, but as the man who had just purchased controlling shares of the business. The staff whispered in shock. And then in the boardroom the doors opened. Amara Nwankwo froze in her chair. Her painted lips parted, her glass of wine nearly slipping from her hand. Chinedu entered with the quiet authority, his suit sharp, his presence commanding. He did not gloat, did not shout. He simply looked at her, his voice calm yet firm. You called me nothing. You spat on me. You threw me out like trash. But God lifted me. Now I stand here, not as a beggar, but as the man who owns what your father built. Amara's eyes filled with disbelief. For the first time, her pride cracked. Chinedu turned to the board. This company has a future. We will build with honesty, not pride. And as he left the room, his steps steady, he whispered to himself, Those who mock you in your valley will one day see you on your mountain.